Hey, so glad that you're here this morning. And this may be kind of weird, but I'm actually going to talk to you for just a little bit from up here. And so, what I want to do first is I want everybody to stand up. Stand up. Simeon Crawford, stand up. Stand up right now. Um, and so, while you're standing, I want you to put your hands in the air. Hands in the air. Can't see my hands. Hands in the air. And turn around in a circle. Come on, everybody, stand up, hands in the air, turn around, circle. Now I want you to put your hands on your head, and now I want you to put your arms out like this, and then put them on your head again. And you're all out because Simon didn't say to do any of that stuff. Just kidding. Hey, have a seat. Have a seat. Hey, thanks again for being here this morning. I'm actually teaching a class over in the worship center. So that's why, and Kyle's out of town, and so that's why I'm talking to you, kind of like this floating head. So, hey, before you go to small group, just wanted to remind some of you and let you know, others of you know what we talked about Wednesday night. We're going through this series called A World Unbroken, and Wednesday night we talked about presence and the fact that and just to remind you of the words, the first word that we talked about was create, that God created the world. The second word we talked about was broken, and how the creation became broken because humans decided to sin, and so all these relationships and all this idea of how God wanted the world to be was broken. And then Kyle a couple weeks ago talked about promise, that God gave a promise to a man named Abraham that he was going to bless him, and that through him all the nations of the world would be blessed. And the promise was that through him that he was going to redeem creation, and through this nation that was going to be made through Abram, that he was going to make a nation. And so and due to that, hold on just a second. Tara's calling me. Hello? What's up? What's up? All right, sorry about that. How rude. Moving on, I don't know where I was, so I'll just kind of start at the beginning. So we're going through this series called A World Unbroken. So the first word was create, and how God created the world, then brokenness, and then promise, I think is where I was. And so through this nation, God was going to redeem the creation and put it back together and make it new. And so this week we talked about the word presence, and how that when God looked at creation, he realized the only way to redeem it was for him to enter into it and to ultimately do the one thing that it couldn't do for itself, and that was take on all the sin. But this week we celebrated the fact that he didn't stay in heaven, he wasn't far off, but he entered into creation and journeyed with us and entered into our brokenness. And so we looked at the thought, and I talked about how when Caleb had cancer, that we watched a show every Wednesday night called America's Best Dance Crew, because there was a dance crew from Arizona called the Electrolytes, and we had some connections with them. We never met them before, but we were able to get them messages, and we would send them videos of Caleb and Cully telling them that they were cheering for them and wishing them luck. And they actually wore Caleb's bracelet, his Beat Cancer Up bracelet, on the show, and pointed to it at the opening of the show. And so this connection started happening, and so the whole time we were cheering for them, and for 10 weeks they were these little guys on a screen, but we felt a connection. And but once again, they were kind of just far off. They were just little people on a screen that we cheered for, until one day our doorbell rang, and Wednesday night I showed this video. Take a look. It's pretty awesome. And so what happened was the electrolytes, who were these little guys on a screen that we cheered for and had some connection to, all of a sudden were sitting in my living room and talking to us like we were friends. And so these people who were far off now were with us and started journeying together with us. And Caleb's had personal dance lessons from some of them, and we've gone to church with some of them, and gone out to lunch, and so we've kind of created a friendship and a relationship. And so once again, this idea that these people who were little guys on the screen now all of a sudden are with us. And that's kind of what Jesus was. That Jesus left this perfect place, this potentially far off place, and now is with us all the time. Not just back then, but today. And he journeys with us, and he enters into our story, and wants to re-narrate our story and take all the things of our life that are broken and torn down, and he wants to be with us in the midst of it. And so as this story continues, and we've gone from creation, and we realize that Jesus was there at the beginning of creation. You're going to have to read a scripture and talk about that a little bit. And so Jesus was there at the beginning, and then how the world became broken, and then that the promise was that God was going to redeem it, that it wasn't going to stay this way always. And then he entered into the creation himself and was with us and is with us. And so that's kind of what we're going to look at today. The fact that Jesus came down and was among us, and how big of a deal that is, and how just like the electrolytes went from being these people far off on a stage on a TV to actually being with us. That's what Jesus did. He didn't stay in heaven. He didn't stay in a far off place, but he said, I'm going to go enter into it, and that's how I'm going to choose to redeem their lives and redeem this creation that I have made and restore it. And so it's a pretty cool thought. And I think sometimes we hear it as Christians and we think, oh yeah, Jesus came and was a baby in a manger, and we think, he did all this stuff for us. But I really want you to grapple with how big of a deal and what Jesus really left, and how big of a deal it is that he came down and walked on the earth and left the place that he did. And so I don't think it's something we should just gloss over, but it's something that is a really, really big deal. So thanks again for being here this morning, and give your small group leaders a high five, or I don't know, something like that. Do a little dance, and let's go to group. Have a great time. Talk to you later. Bye.